Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Izam, and today's video I'm going to show you how to create this artwork over here. This looks a lot more like photography, where there is shallow depth of field, or the Japanese call it bokeh. So anyway, I did all this in Vector. I use Vectornator, and I use my iPad Pro to do this. You can be using any kinds of iPad as long as you can run Vectornator. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how I did this artwork. It looks more like a photograph because you have this shallow depth of field, or a Japanese call it bokeh. So I'm going to show you how I did this. So let's start a new document, and it's going to be full HD. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a rectangle. This is the background. So click and drag across the screen to fill up the whole canvas, and this, make sure the opacity is 100%. I'm going to set the fill to a gradient 1, so it's going to be a linear gradient, and the first color will be about this color, or something like that, brownish, and this color will be the same thing, but I'm going to set it to a much darker one, something like that. Alright, so it will go in this direction, dark, this is light, and this is dark. So done. I'm gonna lock this layer, and I'm gonna have another layer. This time round I'm gonna have windows, so I don't have to be so accurate to do this. So I'm just gonna change this color, go to style, go to fill. The first color will be somewhat, I think I'm gonna choose this color. This color, you can choose any kinds of color, alright, so but make sure it's light in color. So instead of blue, I'm going to change it to white, and I'm going to set the opacity very light. This one as well, I'm going to set the opacity to 0. Okay, so this is, I think it's fine. Alright, so here's the trick to doing all this. This, I'm going to set the blur like that. Okay, so this will mimic the shallow depth of field. Alright, I'm also going to set the opacity much lower, something like that. So now change to your select tool, the move tool, and I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to place it over here. I'm going to place one over here and one over here, and that is done. So this will somehow look like there is a building behind, right in the background. So that's good. So I'm just going to put this as windows. That's done. I'm going to have a new layer, and this time around I'm going to have the bokeh effect. You know, the lights when they are very far and it's out of focus, you will see some fairy lights going on. So what we're going to do now is have this, tap the polygon tool and choose 6-sided polygon, and let's begin to draw. If it looks like this, go to style and change the blur back to 0. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we change the fill. The fill, let's make it a solid fill, and let's make it orange, something like this. Set the opacity to the fullest, maybe not to the fullest, maybe about 70%, and that's it. Tap on your node tool, and you're going to double tap on all the points like that. So as you can see, it's rounded corners. So this is good so far. Now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this. Okay, tap the move tool and press the duplicate option, and turn this duplicate option off. Here's what you do. You're going to stretch out this duplicated shape and place it above like that, such that it will come out like that, and on both sides, left and right. Okay, so this is one. So we're going to do another one. So let's go to the layers panel. Okay, I'm going to select both of this. I'm going to tap on style, and I'm going to tap on arrange and tap group. So this is done. So you can see that this has been grouped. I'm going to duplicate this group and place it over here. Okay, so now that we have the duplicate, turn off this duplicate option, and then we're going to ungroup this one. Go to Style, go to Arrange, and then tap Ungroup. I'm now going to move this something like this. Instead of at the sides, pull it at the sides, just drag it to the top left. And then I'm going to set the color, change the fill, and then make it less opaque, like that. Alright, this is the one. So the one underneath, I'm going to change the color as well. I'm going to change the color to a much redder hue, something like this. Now I can group it. Go to Style, go to Arrange, and tap Group. So this has been grouped. So now we can go ahead and duplicate all of this. But first, let's select all these and make them smaller, something like that. And I'm now going to tap here to duplicate, and just tap here, 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 like that, and that's it. I'm just going to move it over here, and maybe over here. Okay, I'm done duplicating. So the next thing I'm going to do is just going to arrange at certain points, and that's done. So this is the first layer of the lights. 1. I'm going to rename it as that. I am going to duplicate this layer. I'm going to lock the original layer. I'm going to get this duplicate layer. I'm going to make it a bit smaller. Also, I am going to make the opacity lower, something like this. Okay, and I'm going to move it like that. Just going to place it over there, over here. Okay, something like this. Maybe I will make it even more transparent, translucent, and certain bits even more, something like that. Okay, I think we are good to go, but maybe let's lock this. I'm gonna do some adjustments. Maybe I'm gonna choose this and set the opacity a bit lower, something like that, more varied, like a random thing. Okay, so I think this is good. The next thing that we need to do is this. We have to select all of this. Let's unlock this layer as well and select all of this and go to Style, and now the magic begins. We're going to blur it, set the blur like that, about 4 points. So as you can see, it is now blurry. Okay, so this is the blurred background that is desirable in photography nowadays. So let's lock this and have a new layer. And now we need a foreground, the subject matter of this picture. So I chose, based on this photograph, let's create a light bulb, an incandescent light bulb. So again, we can use this 6-sided, or maybe let's make a 5-sided polygon like this, and then we can manipulate the shapes by using the node tool. But first, let's change the fill. I'm going to change the fill to 100% opacity, set the color to orange, and I'm going to set the opacity to this 100%. As you can see, it's very orange, but doesn't matter, we can change later. So now use the node tool and just double tap here. As you can see, it is blur. So let's unblur that, make it sharp so that we can see like that. Okay, so tap on this node tool again and double tap here, and select this and drag it like this. Okay, I'm placing one finger so that it doesn't move anywhere except vertically. Alright, so this is done. Now let's move this further down so that we have space to draw here, the holder of this light bulb. So now that we have this, I think we can go ahead and duplicate this like that and turn this off. I'm going to change this fill. We're going to change it to this color, a much yellower color. I'm going to set the opacity maybe to this, about 70 or 70%. I'm just going to drag it over here on top, but maybe not on top. I'm just going to make it a bit smaller and lay it on top like that. Okay, looks good. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this, the fill. I'm actually going to make it into a radial fill. So the first color will be yellow. I think the first color will be maybe white, and the second one will be yellow, like this. I think this looks good. I'm going to set the opacity low, the white as well. So as you can see here, the white is in the middle, like that, right? I also want the white to be here at the edge. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to choose white, something like this. But this is a bit drastic, so I'm going to set the opacity low, like that. And this color as well. I'm going to change this white. I'm going to set the opacity low as well, something like this, and I'm going to put it over here. Alright, so that is done. I think this is looking good so far. So now let's go ahead and tap style and go to tap done, go to style, and let's blur this. Okay, so now we have a very nice blur like that. So now let's proceed with drawing the holder. So we're going to use a rounded corner rectangle, something like this. But the fill, we're going to change the fill to this, a solid color. We're not going to be blurring it. So set the blur to 0. I'm going to move this like that. It's not rounded enough, so I'm going to corner it more until like this. I'm going to drag it down like that. So for now, I'm going to delete this point over here. Just tap delete, delete. Okay, so now we have a very nice curve, but this curve is not supposed to be this way, so it's going to be the other way, like that, something like this. Yes. And also we're going to take this and drag it down like this. Alright, the next thing we need to do is this holder has to cover the light bulb, so we need to make it bigger. So drag and make it bigger and fit and cover the light bulb. So the next thing that we need to do is this rim at the bulb holder. So it's just your regular rectangle. It's not going to be rounded, so make it 0 and just do that. I'm going to change the color to a darker one so we can see it contrasting. And then let's move this and set the node. Tap here and here, here and here. And then let's move it. This one as well as this one, I'm going to move it up. And then turn this off, tap here and turn this on. And then I'm going to move this one up like that. Here I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to have another point here. I'm going to have another point here, and then this point I'm going to drag like that. Same thing with here, 1, 2. Then this point, I'm going to drag it like this. Now what we need to do is change this color. I think it is best that we change this to a linear fill, something like this. So instead of black over here and white over here, we can make this a lighter, something like this, a grayish color, and this white will be black. Change it to black, and here at this side will be a lighter gray, something like this. Alright, so I think this is good. So far, so good. Alright, so this, we also need to do the same thing. And just tap here, linear gradient. I think we need to change this a little bit. We need to make it more pronounced, the color. So for this guy, I think let it be something like this. And add another color here, dark one, and this one, make it lighter. Something like this. And we're done. The next thing we need to do, the last thing we need to do for this light bulb is to have an ellipse, something like this. The insides of the bulb holder that we can see. Okay, I'm just going to drag this, just going to drag this as well, and we're going to place this, okay, open this layer, place this below the bulb like that. I guess below even more, which means this particular shape we need to change the opacity. Alright, so tap the fill and then lower the opacity such that we can now see the insides like that. We now will draw the wire that supply electricity to the bulb. So for the wire, you just need a rectangle. Just draw a rectangle over here. It has to be below everything else in this layer. We need to make it thinner. Something like this. The color, it should not be so shiny like this. So tap the fill tool, and for this, get it a bit darker, and this one as well, darker. You don't have to make it shiny, too shiny. And that is done. Okay, so this is basically how you do the bokeh. So for this layer, I'm going to rename it as light bulb 1. I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to lock the original. I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to place it over here. I'm going to make it a bit smaller to give the effect that it is further away. And there you have it. We also need something else. It's like a glow. So have another layer, and we can apply this glow for this bulb. Alright, have another layer, make a circle like this, and this circle we're going to have the color. We're going to change the color to this, an elliptical gradient. Going to remove all this. This color will be white, this color will also be white, but here it is, it's going to be the opacity is going to be low like that, but for the end it's going to be all the way to 0 like that, so it will just fade as it goes out like that. Alright, I think it's fine. Okay, everything looks cool now, but we have one more thing to do, and you can do this too if you like. What we can do is take this whole layer. I'm going to lock this, the glow, take this whole layer, and we are going to blur it about 4 points. Let's see what happens. Yes, I think it looks quite okay. Alright, so this is how you create a shallow depth of field. Alright, so that is done. I hope you like your artwork. So I hope this inspires you to create other kinds of artwork based on this kind of technique. If you do like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe because you will get notification whenever I put up new videos on my channel. So click on the subscribe button down there on this page. So until then, have a good day and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.